Awesome.
Welcome to the RnBe.
Yes.
This is the podcast that Rob and I do every week when we get around to it.
Yeah.
Here on Comicstorian or on iTunes or SoundCloud, depending on where you're watching or listening to this podcast. Now, picture the intro right now. It's Benny and a Robin. Robin.
I'm not Robin.
You're Robin.
No.
Robin.
I'd rather be the Joker than be Robin.
Somebody, I want fan art of Rob in the Robin suit and
No.
me in the Batman 66
Please, for the love
suit.
of... Okay, my fans been turning me into memes.
Classic Robin? Classic
All right.
Robin? Like 60s
Classic
Robin?
No.
I'm 60s Batman. He
Yeah.
could be 60s Robin.
People are going to do it, too.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just want us running in. Picture the intro. Na 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 na. Batman and Robin.
I'm just going to be like...
Just own it, man.
Yeah.
Just own it.
And then the motorcycle. Brrrr, as Gary Girl
How
rides
did I get a
in.
motorcycle?
Yeah, she always had a motorcycle.
Yeah, she always
Really?
had
Did
one.
she?
Yeah, she always
Okay.
zipped
I'm
in on a
okay with
motorcycle.
that.
Yeah, it looked kind of
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
I'm okay with
She had
that.
the Batgirl motorcycle.
Yeah, there we go.
So today's episode is the RnBe. Gary
Yeah.
Girl's here.
Gary Girl with a motorcycle. Hey, the motorcycle
Or
makes it
Gary
worth
Hulk. I mean,
Yeah.
gluten-free Gary
Hulk
Hulk.
Gary, yeah.
Yeah, Hulk
Yeah.
Gary.
it. Yeah.
Hulk Gary.
What do you guys prefer, Gary Girl or Hulk Gary?
I think Gary Girl sounds better.
Hulk Gary Girl.
Yeah. Here we go.
Today's topic
She
is going to be
Gary.
discussing should comic books move into the adult range? Should we be having more comics like Max? What should we be doing with this kind of a thing? But today, guys, today's episode is sponsored, Rob, by My Hair, which is brought to you by 4 Hims, a new wellness program for men. It's a one-stop shop for people worried about hair loss. And when you've got hair like mine, you're worried about hair loss.
Yeah, I would be
Purple's
too.
natural, by the way.
Is it?
Yes, or if you want amazing skin like Rob's buttery smooth skin.
Yes, my buttery smooth.
Or if you're concerned about
Skin.
having 9 more children, so you need sexual wellness like Gary.
9. Okay, I see what you're saying. I thought you
You're
implied
gonna
that
have
I had
9.
9.
No, you're
and I
going to
want
have-
9 more.
He's going to have 18 children. 18 Garys running around.
Gary has no idea what's going on. He's
Yeah.
just going with the flow. Hims connects you to real doctors and medical grade solutions without having to go to the doctor or the pharmacy yourself. It's an amazing product. It helps me out. And legitimately, while I'm trying to make this sound like we're doing our sponsor, legitimately it does make my hair look amazing. Anyway,
Yeah,
order
your hair is
now because
amazing.
our listeners/viewers get a trial month of Hims for just $5 today, right now, while supplies last. See the website for full details. This would cost hundreds if you went to the doctor or the pharmacy. Go to hims.com. Go to forhims.com/RobinBenny. That's FORHIMS.com/RobinBenny. Forhims.com/RobinBenny. What is that, Rob? Do you know where you should go for your skin?
For my silky smooth skin.
Yeah.
It sounds like forhims.com/RobinBenny.
That's our sponsor for the day.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, today we're going to talk about adult-themed comic books.
You're not
which-
laughing at my silky smooth skin, are you?
No.
Well, Rob, just keep in mind, we're doing
Not-
adult-themed comic
yeah.
books today, and adults like to have voluptuous hair.
Yeah.
And, silky
Voluminous hair.
And 9 more children.
Your,
and 9 more children.
your voluptuous hair makes it
Yeah.
sound like your hair has boobs. Yeah. Your hair's got nipples. Yeah, look at the nipples on them hairs. Look at that, man. Look at them hair nipples.
Does that count as hair boobs?
It's not count as hair boobs.
All right, so anyway, the idea of this is not adult theme. We're not going porn, though.
No.
But the Max...
We're talking about erotic
Adult
comics.
Yeah, adult as in grown up.
Right, grown
Yeah.
up. The Max line in Marvel, which they haven't done much with in many years, it features characters swearing, blood, gore, sex, nudity, that kind of a thing.
Right.
DC's never fully dipped into that, but they have announced the Black Label, and they're kind of pitching it as more of a adult-themed line. There could be some adult theming happening there. Now, we don't fully know, but that got me thinking, do comics need to age with the old audience? If you've been reading since the 90s, should they move up to you? And the example I have, before we let you guys talk,
Constantine?
no, not even Constantine. Because there's always going to be that outlier comic that's meant for adults.
Yeah. Well, Constantine aged in real time for like
Right.
30 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
Didn't know that.
comic book movies are geared towards, like, the middle school, high school age people.
Yeah,
I
family.
mean,
movie.
it's
family.
The concept of comics, yes.
No, I'm saying I'm going
content-
comic book movies, though.
Oh, comic book movies.
They're
Yeah.
definitely family-friendly content.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
But
absolutely.
Logan was not.
No.
And Logan was huge. And
And it was
Deadpool, I will
amazing.
definitely say, is not.
No.
And is huge. So does that tell you that we need comics like that now? Where they just let Deadpool go crazy?
Well, they had Deadpool Max for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the Max
wrote
line didn't
this-
sell.
Yeah, well, that's the issue. But the Max line wasn't really billed as, "Hey guys, go check out this Max story." It wasn't. They weren't really like advertising it. Well, Marvel's bad at advertising in general, but they weren't really advertising it the way they would advertise like Avengers,
Right.
or Captain America.
Okay.
It was just a line of stories that are there, and you can read them if you know about them.
Yeah.
and that's really it. I think the answer to that question is yes. I think it needs to be like a 3-tiered system. I think you need to obviously have like stories as they exist now, which by and large are for a younger audience in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
And then I think you need to have the next step up, which is stories that are a little darker and a little more serious. And then I think you need to have Max. Max needs to be there for people who are just kind of like, look, I just want to see Deadpool just like rip people apart and blood and gore and all kinds of stuff.
That is actually a really, what you just said is perfect for what I want to say with this though.
Okay.
Because I'm going to ask you this.
Yeah.
Now, because you said you should have stories that are darker and more serious toned.
Right.
That appears to be the direction that the DCEU tried to do.
Yeah.
Darker and more serious toned. Does something darker and more serious toned make it adult Gary? Because I don't consider Man of Steel or Batman v
No, I
Superman.
don't think so at all. Because a lot of the Harry Potter films went darker and more serious, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're.
Oh no, yeah, I'm not equating
adult,
it to.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is if one thing, like for example, like Sean Murphy's Batman the White Knight,
Yeah.
is like a dark themed story. The way he
Okay.
draws it, the way he writes it, it's designed to
Right.
be darker themed. But like a 13-year-old could pick it up and be fine.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
because it's drawn a certain, what I'm talking about is like the content of the story. That's
Okay.
what I say when I say darker.
Right.
When I say more
Right.
like a little more hardcore.
So you're not just talking about a red filter. You're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm not
Okay.
saying get someone with like a dark style of art to draw it. Like the contents of the story, because I think there are people who were looking for that. Now, I think DC's mistake with the DCEU was going all in like that.
Yes.
I think that if you're going to create a
Yes.
more adult line of comics, it needs to be what Marvel Max was, and really what Vertigo was for quite some time. That it's just kind of a niche thing. It's a small line of stories, and that's really about it. But I wouldn't mind seeing like a darker, grittier Avengers story where
Yeah.
like Thor like knocks a person's head off with his hammer,
I mean,
or like it
the
shows
Avengers have
bodies
no problems
trapped
killing,
under road.
but
Yeah,
we never
exactly.
really see them kill.
You never
No,
see that. Yeah,
it's always the cutaway.
yeah, you see like a building collapse, and you just see, oh man, we couldn't save everybody, and that's it. But I wouldn't mind seeing like an Avengers story where they're fishing bodies out, or things like that. You know,
You
like
went dark with
well,
that
no,
quick.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying. Like, I mean, to have a comic that says like, here is the entirety of the story, nothing cut out, nothing filtered. Here's the story told as you would see it in real life, and like give us that story. Like Captain America's pissed off and he's just like shit, or like cusses or something like that, or Thor, or whatever. But I think there's room for that. I think that making that an entire publication arm is a problem. I think making it a little niche thing, like Marvel Max always was, I think that's a good idea.
Well, like Black Label, from what it sounds like,
Exactly.
it's a similar thing. It's only like 5 stories, but it's allowing the writers to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like I said, it could
Okay.
be adult. It could just be a darker turn for some of the characters.
I don't think Black Label is. I do not think it's DC's equivalent of Marvel Max. I've been thinking about that for
Probably
the last
not.
few days.
Yeah.
I think it's designed to be like a prestige level of publishing.
Okay.
Because everybody that you look, like Frank Miller reinvigorated, like redefined Batman for the post-crisis era. Scott Snyder had one of the greatest Batman runs of all time. Greg Rucka had one of the greatest Wonder Woman, well, really some of the greatest Wonder Woman runs of all time.
Okay.
The writers and artists that you see are just like prestige caliber writers
Oh,
and
yeah.
artists.
No, I agree with you.
They're the highest level that DC has to offer. The exception is like Bendis, maybe one or two other people. Robert Venditti will probably make his way up there. But that's the idea, is you have, it's like the prestige level writers.
Okay.
I think it is,
Well, when
you
you,
guys...
when you hear Black Label, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Black Label. I just imagine something. I don't imagine anything like adult.
I
I-
picture whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah, Johnny. yeah,
You don't
Yeah.
consider that
Okay.
adult?
So no, I would, but
Are
I
you one
like
of those guys
Black
that
Label.
puts whiskey on your daughter's gums?
We tried that once. It didn't go well.
Well, okay, hold on.
just like a little-
Side note. What?
We thought she was teething, and one of the old remedies is you just get a little finger of whiskey and you just kind
Okay.
of rub it on the gums.
And what happened?
Like rubbing alcohol or something, but you don't want to use rubbing alcohol. She spit up immediately.
Okay.
And then we
Yeah.
never tried it again.
So,
We're like, that's just a bad
basically,
idea.
you know that your daughter
know.
won't be an alcoholic.
Pretty much. Well, I can hope. Yeah, it was just a little bit just to rub it on the gums, and it didn't work. So,
I just love how
yeah.
you were just going to just buy. We tried that anyway.
We tried that.
We fed our daughter alcohol.
It's like,
Didn't
here,
go the way we
baby,
hoped.
try that.
Give her a shot.
Give her a little shot glass. Her
Yeah.
little hands trying to hold the shot glass. No. I think like Johnny Walker Black. right?
Yeah, okay.
I think
like a just a higher end.
a higher end, yeah.
I
like
see what you're saying.
Like, and
Okay.
it kind of puts off this prestige.
Yeah.
Like you can imagine like a Matthew McConaughey,
Rolling his booger in his car.
Matthew McConaughey commercial,
I
yeah,
love
rolling
my
his booger,
booger.
and like walks into a super upscale bar and says, "Give me a shot of Johnny Walker Black."
Yeah.
And it's like, damn,
Right.
man, like
Yeah.
this guy knows what he's about, and he knows what he's doing, and he only wants the best drink.
Yeah.
So he walks in there, "Give me a shot of Johnny Walker Black," and fucking.
So
do
you
it
want
right
Matthew
now.
McConaughey to promote the Black Label?
Could you
line
imagine
of
that?
That would,
comics?
oh, dude, he's like
Walks
walking
into
around
a
in a
comic
Lincoln.
shop.
No, I have it right
He's
now.
like, give me
Matthew
a Black
McConaughey
Label.
in his suit driving his car, just talking in a dark and stormy night. It brings me down to trying to think about things, you know. I think about deeper, darker storylines of my life. And occasionally, it makes me think about Batman. And what could Batman be doing if no one gave him limits?
What if I were Batman?
What if I were Batman and I had the Joker's head in a
Dude,
jar?
okay, you know what we need to do? We need to make this commercial.
Yes.
We need to
Yes.
make this. Yeah. And like
Can
you
we
have to
afford to
be-
hire Matthew
you
McConaughey?
gotta end it with, when Matthew McConaughey wants to read comics, he doesn't read regular comics.
He reads Black Label.
He reads Black Label.
Yeah, yeah. We
That
gotta
would
film,
actually
dude,
sell.
We gotta film
That
this
would
shit.
sell.
We gotta
Yes.
film this shit. Yeah, man.
In a Lincoln.
Yeah. In
In
a
a
Lincoln.
Where are we
Lincoln.
gonna get a Lincoln?
I don't know.
How
Shit, man,
big
we'll-
is our
dude,
budget?
No, dude, we'll rent one, man.
Yeah.
You can rent a like, dude. We will rent a. We'll go down.
All right.
We will go downtown. We will rent a Lincoln limousine, and we'll film that shit.
We're gonna film
inside
the
that
DC
limousine.
Black Label commercial.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's gonna be the most ballin' shit. Holy dude.
All right, we'll do it.
Dude, it's
Okay,
gonna be the
let's
most
do it.
ballin' commercial ever,
Yeah.
man. Oh my god, we gotta film this.
Commercial for DC Black Label.
Yeah, DC Black Label.
Unsanctioned.
Yeah, the unofficial DC Black Label. And Warner Brothers is gonna be like, strike. Oh man, they're gonna hate us.
But anyway, yeah, Black Label, you think about more mature. You think
Yeah.
more
Right.
off the cuff. It's more aimed for adults, which got me thinking, because I'm doing the Max books, like we
Yes.
don't have a DC Max.
No, the closest we ever got was Vertigo.
But in Max itself they don't ever release them anymore. I think they're finally coming out with another one, but it's not consistent.
Punisher the Platoon is the only Max title they have
Okay.
at the moment, as far as I'm aware.
But what I'm saying is, like, it's not like, here's the next 5 Max books. Here's this one, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Max line was built on Jessica Jones.
Okay.
And despite the fact that there have been a lot of Max comics, there have been some that stand out. Like the Punisher was written for Marvel Max. Punisher Max is some of the greatest Punisher storytelling you're ever going to see. The first issue opens up with him spraying down a mafia house with an M60 machine gun. So I mean, there's all kinds of violence and gratuitous violence that goes into that, and that's the nature of the Marvel
Right.
Max line of comics.
Okay.
So it's all about that extreme, heavy-handed stuff. Truth to tell, with DC, I have a hard time seeing that. Batman, I could see that. I
Yeah.
could see a Batman.
Well,
Max,
hold that
like,
thought,
story.
because I wanted to talk about
Okay.
should we have adult comics in Max, and I wanted to pick your guys' brains for, if we were to write a superhero for a Max line in DC, what would it be? So hold that thought.
Okay.
I'll give you Batman. Okay. All right. So anyway, but the big question still comes down to them: do we need Max? Do we need, because I mean, people have been reading comics for years.
Right.
There are people who are 30, 40, 50. I mean, we're 30
Yeah.
reading comics. You're
Yeah.
29 or I don't know. I haven't looked at your forums. I don't know how old you are.
31.
Okay. I was like, you could be
Yeah.
21, 31, or 51. I don't know.
Gary's 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he's under 18. It's just
Yeah. He just looks old. He's got the Benjamin Button disease.
should we have these comics?
Okay.
Should we have more mature themed adult comics that are no holds bar? Because Wolverine goes into a strip club in Max, and reading the book, I don't think it added anything to the story. Like, the story itself was cool having Wolverine go off the cuff.
It changes the environment. But
Right. That's kind of where I go with it too. Is like, is it in there because you can put it in there, or is it in there because you want, like,
Yeah.
or because it should be a part of the story?
Exactly.
Because I think, and even like movies, TV shows, comic books, whatever medium you're looking at, when people start adding like sex and violence and just a lot of this gratuitous content, I think a lot of it is just because they can.
Yeah.
Shock value. Yeah.
And it really, honestly, for me, it just detracts from the story because it's like 5 minutes of this. I'm like, that added nothing.
Game of Thrones, I
Like-
think season 1 or 2 was
Okay.
still an amazing show. Love the
Yeah.
show.
Heavy-handed
But they were
with that
definitely, they decided to have every one of the meetings at the whorehouse.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Which at first, as a guy, it was like, oh yeah.
Boobs, man. Lots of boobs.
And by like episode 2 or 3, it's like, again, with the lots of boobs and the girls walking around.
Yep, with the boobs hanging out. And,
And also, I feel like you lost half your budget because, like, in episodes 1 and 2, you had models that basically would never exist in the medieval times, and now you have models that would exist in the medieval times.
Right.
And they had amazing boobs. But yeah, no, that's that's a legitimate statement, and that's why I say I think they're good to have. They're not necessary.
Right.
No.
Now, if we were going to do them, I think they should be on like a rotating roster. Like you had like Nick
Kinda like
Fury.
Max then.
Yeah, you had like Nick Fury Max. There was no
Okay.
need for a Nick Fury Max story. It wasn't even that good.
Okay.
But like Jessica Jones was great because you got to see like the Purple Man, for example. What made the reason why Jessica Jones worked so well as a Marvel Max title is because you learned there was this guy named Zebediah Killgrave that had the ability to dominate the minds of others. You've seen the Jessica Jones show, right?
No.
The first season? Okay. Well, anyway, not spoiling too much for you.
Okay.
But there were
need
things
to
that
watch
he
that one.
did. You need to watch it, yeah. There were things that he did where it was just like you'd never be able to see that in like a regular line of Marvel comics. And Bendis could get away with it because it was Marvel Max. But it set the tone, and like from that point going forward in the future of Marvel, it was like, holy shit, Purple Man's here. Like things are gonna get really, really bad.
Yeah.
And there was
Okay.
kind of this undercurrent where like he would meet Luke Cage or he would run into like Jessica Jones or
You
something
made
like that.
Spider-Man for it. No, that was Negative Man.
It was Mr. Negative.
Okay.
But like there's one point where he escapes his confinement. Luke Cage is there and he's like, Luke Cage, kill like the members of your team. But you see Purple Man, and because you read, Alias, with Jessica Jones by Brian Michael Bendis, you're like, dude, that guy is screwed up. But what it does is it allows you to build characters, build environments, and to carry that on into like the future of Marvel Comics, even if it's not in a Marvel Max input.
Sure.
And I think that's the beauty of having adult-oriented comics is you can create a character that's dark and sadistic. And then throw them into the main line of comics.
Okay.
And then occasionally bring them back to the adult line of comics if you want to reground people to how dark and screwed up they can be.
Right.
I think there's room for that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think that needs to be kind of a small niche thing. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I'm not the kind of person who would just like I don't believe in censorship. Like I just don't. Like as an
No, I
artist,
don't
as a
either.
filmmaker, I think it's a terrible idea to try to tell other people what they can and can't make. I mean, you have the freedom to do that.
Yeah.
But I also
Let me put a
like,
caveat to that because I
Yeah,
said I agree with you.
to an
I
extent.
censor things on Comicstorian.
Yes, of
regardless
course.
of believing it that we
Right.
should or censor things or not.
Yes.
You can still gear products for an age.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, and that's
yeah.
what we do with Comicstorian.
Right,
But I don't
right.
believe like in forcibly censoring. If you want to
No,
make an
exactly.
adult thing, make an
Exactly.
adult thing.
Exactly.
But if you're making a kids thing, you should
Make a kids
thing.
thing. Like one person telling another person, you cannot make this, period.
Yeah.
Now you can tell someone, we can't make that for Nickelodeon. That's
Yeah.
one thing. But saying, nope, that has something in it that I disagree with, you can't make that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of the cool thing about DC, because if the Black Label really is their version of Marvel Max, where it's just kind of like, write whatever story you want to, honestly, I would be intrigued. Because when I think of Superman, I don't think of the guy who like loses his temper.
No.
And would like freak off and attack somebody.
Right.
But you could do that in that story.
Yeah.
And when I think of Superman, I don't think of a guy that loses control and like just brings a building smashing down on like a, like he fights some villain and gets thrown into a building and the building collapses on all these people and he can't save them. I don't really think of that when I think of like the main DC comics and like Superman just kind of in like sadness and disgust, seeing like all these bodies just covered in rubble. But you can do that in that story. When I think of Batman, I think of like easily an adult-oriented story.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Batman would be perfect.
Yeah,
for
I
that.
mean, in some of the
Right.
mainline Batman stories, you're like, if you had just added this panel in, we definitely could have gone. I mean, half the Scott
Absolutely.
Snyder stuff, Joker
Yeah.
cutting his face off and things like that.
Yeah, I mean that was borderline. Like,
Yeah.
that was pretty. I mean, it was shocking to see that.
Right.
It was pretty intense.
Right.
But no, I mean, I look at things like that, and what it does is it does allow a lot of creator freedom. If you're someone writing about like the Amazons and Themyscira, why would a culture of people who really don't care about the outside world keep themselves covered? Like, where they just walk around naked? I mean, and you don't do that for the sake of just saying like, here's boobs. You do it for the sake of just being like, this. They're like,
Well,
they're like a culture
I
that
would
doesn't
slightly
really.
argue against that. But
I mean,
fully
I'm-
naked.
no.
But you've seen historically accurate things.
Yeah.
Women just walking around topless. The whole women covering their breast thing. That's like within the last, I'd say, like 200 years.
Yeah,
Like,
but what
and
I-
only really in America half the time.
But what I'm saying is you
Lots
can
of cultures covered, but they didn't have as many hangups about.
Right. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
It
It wasn't
more
as big of
common
a
and
deal.
prevalent.
Right,
And I
yeah.
agree with you on that. Like, if you were to just go all hold bar, the challenge would be to do that and make it seem historically accurate,
That's what
and
I'm
not
saying.
just be Rob wanted to have 20 women.
Well, that's
die.
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying. Like it has to be done in a way that's tasteful,
Right.
Yeah.
and it has to be given context. But what I'm saying is, having something like the Black Label that's adult oriented gives a writer and an artist the ability to like experiment with that,
Yeah.
and see if it can be done. Now, the problem is it is a big gamble because what's tasteful to one person is wildly distasteful to another. And
That's
so
a
really-
big issue we have in America
Yeah,
over
that's-
censorship and everything in general.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the big risks that you play. So I mean, but what I'm saying is there is benefit to that. To basically saying like this is not tied into any existing continuity. It gets a label slapped on the front telling parents, be aware that if your kid reads this, it's going to have some pretty intense violence and sexual situations.
Yeah.
And then just saying do whatever you want with the writer and the artist. There's merit to that, and there's benefit to that because there are no limits. There's no
Exactly.
restrictions. They
No,
can do
I mean,
anything they want to.
Okay.
But no, go ahead. I mean,
I was just gonna say, but you still have the main like family-friendly Batman storyline going.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
'cause-
the Batman
don't-
Rebirth Detective
Don't rob
Comics
people
Rebirth.
of Batman.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
and I agree with him because, and I'll use a great example that recently came up. Greg Rucker was asked if he feels whose Diana's love interest was up until Steve Trevor.
Okay.
She was only around women. And he said that he found that the island would be lesbians. They would be with each other. But you never see that story. You never
Yeah.
see how the
No.
Amazons live, like you
No.
said. Like they always just show up in battle armor, like we are a warrior race who've lived for thousands of years, separated from all men, and that's all you know.
Yeah.
And like,
But it could be that like there was no reason to have a sexual drive because it never occurred to them.
right. Well, that's also
then
what I'm
suddenly
saying
Wonder
is
Woman's thrown
you
into the
can't
world of men,
explore
and then-
either aspect of that.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because either
Because
way,
they-
you're going into that
right.
range of.
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of things that you can do, but that is the great thing, is it gives you a lot of freedom. I mean, honestly, the cool thing about the Joker is interesting to me, and the Joker is really intriguing. But if you give me a story where you say like they're on the hunt for the Joker, and they're following this trail of bodies, and there's men who've just been like decapitated or something like that, and
Yes.
it throws it all the way back to like 1940s, sadistic, screwed up, terrible Joker. To me, that works. In a Batman.
Because Batman's a detective.
Batman is a detective, exactly. And so it's not like the Joker's like, okay, I'm going to go on a crime spree and pull my punches on how I kill people.
Yeah.
Like you have to have like a sadistic, screwed up, mentally unstable, beyond recovery kind of guy. And you would have to have crimes that reflect that persona. And I think that having like a Black Label line of comics that star Batman and, deal with the Joker and show us that would be incredible because it'd be a depiction of the characters we've never seen before.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, the Batman White Knight storyline has the Joker getting cured,
Yeah.
and then he's acquitted of all his crimes. And like what you just said is the only hang up I have on Sean Murphy's story is the fact that the Joker's acquitted of everything. Like, unless in that timeline the Joker never actually killed anyone.
Well, but that's the issue is he takes the pills and the pills cure him. It's not like he was faking it.
It's like a plea for insanity.
It is, yeah, but like the fact that he was able to take pills and he was able to return to a state of normalcy, the fact that he couldn't trick the CAT scans, all the information pointing to the idea that there was a measurable change as a result of the pills that were forced down his throat by Batman meant he wasn't responsible for his actions before, which meant that he could basically be let off. I mean, it is. I
think
understand
that
it.
the trial for that would be a lot longer than what I think
Yes.
is either a year in the comic.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be one of those
Right.
things where we will never hear from him again, even if he's acquitted.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean but to me it works. I think that's the great caveat that Sean Murphy threw in there was by virtue of being cured because of pills and the fact that cure could be measured meant that there was a legitimate case to say the Joker was not responsible for the things he did.
Yes.
But like imagine Sean Murphy had released Batman the White Knight under the Black Label.
Yeah.
And was able to give us this incredibly beautiful artistic rendering of how dark this environment is. With a Joker that becomes the good guy, and you run over this trial, and they show all the things he's done before, and it's extreme and heinous acts of violence that are not restrained by the existing DC Rebirth line of stories. It's not a miniseries that's tied into Rebirth. It's Black Label. It'd be insane because you take what's already probably one of the greatest Batman miniseries ever told, and then multiply that several times over with like the gravity of what a situation would look like in real life. It'd be insane. It'd be amazing. It would just make it that much better.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there's room for that. There's ample room to experiment with what they have now and to really tell like adult themed stories. Again, I think the reason why it needs to be small and the reason why it needs to be niche is to keep it from being confused with the rest of the DC lineup.
Yeah.
So,
I think saving the term adult would actually really benefit this whole discussion. Like saving the term adult, like we so often assume that something adult is like pornography or something that's just really gritty. Just obviously not for the family. You know, there's a show my wife and I watch that's a very adult show, but it's not graphic. It's not like there's no sex in it. But it's the reason it's adult and it has a mature rating on it is because the topics being discussed or the topics of the series.
What show is it?
Madam Secretary.
Oh,
It's just
I've heard of.
it's too cerebral for anybody under like 17 to really enjoy.
Yeah.
Like it's just too intelligent. It's too cerebral. It's the content is too political.
You've just challenged all of our younger viewers to go watch it.
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying, like on.
I expect at least 50 comments.
Yeah. No, he's
Gary
wrong.
thinks
He's wrong.
I mean, I watched it.
I just mean like on average, it's probably not going to appeal to a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
You know, because it's all political. It's super political.
I can see that.
And that's why it has like a TV 14 rating or things like that. Saving the term adult, from this just like the pornographic assumption. This is mature. This is adult.
in the office
Therefore,
here.
it is.
You
Yeah,
guys
exactly.
kind of knew what the goal of today's topic was
Yeah,
going to be.
yeah.
I brought Black Label, but I said we're going to be talking about adult-themed comics. And at
Yes.
the beginning of one of the 1,000 takes, I don't know
Erotica.
which one it was in.
Yeah, it's erotica comics.
It's erotica comic.
Yeah.
That was the immediate
I mean, there
place
is
that we went to.
That's where people go.
Yeah.
There
They
is a
assume-
connotation that goes there. You say, like,
Yes.
I'm going to an adult movie theater. I'm going to, like, an adult
Yeah.
bookstore. I'm going to,
Yeah.
like, an adult, video
Yeah.
store.
We've
I mean,
ruined
there-
the term adult. We have.
Yeah, we really have. But, okay,
Yeah.
then
Adult just means porn at this point.
It does. Yeah.
well, then what do you replace that with? Because if
Or
you say,
a dog and a porn
if you say
star.
mature,
well, it comes across the same
it
way to
comes
me.
across the same way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
it
I
doesn't
guess-
come across. Mature usually means like more intelligent, more
So
mature.
then
like
just
you're
say
grown up.
it's a line of comics for people of a certain age. Because then it
even
sounds
that, like-
then it sounds then it
I
sounds like
makes me
it's
think old people.
yeah, exactly. It's for
Geriatric
middle-aged men.
Rob! I'm Geriatric Benny. Today we're going to be reading some 1940 Superman. Look at him jump over that building. He's so strong and his trunks are red.
That was amazing, actually.
Geriatric
good.
Benny.
Yeah,
That was
geriatric.
pretty good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get that. It's for
Yeah.
like middle-aged men, like
Yeah.
perverted middle-aged men.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe Black Label would be the best way to do it. But regardless, it is a line of comics that's not designed for like the existing readership of DC Comics. For the people who would normally read those comics.
So
it's not family friendly.
should we do
basically.
it though?
Yeah, I think
Because
definitely.
I think we've discussed like how it could fit and what the creativity, but we still haven't answered the core question.
Okay.
Should comics have an adult line, be entirely adult themed?
Yes.
I mean,
I think so.
okay. I kind of agree. Like a creatively free.
Right.
Do what you want to do. Don't worry about censoring.
I think for those storytellers and those artists who want to make those stories, give them an outlet. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not one to tell them not to. Yeah, give them an outlet to tell the stories they want to tell, and just let the the consumer know, like you said, put a label or something on it that says like, adult content enclosed. And
I mean, it's the internet.
you know-
People will figure it out real fast.
Right, yeah, exactly.
They'll know what it's about. Yeah, I think that definitely should happen.
Okay. I mean, that's how I feel. I like how
Yeah.
the setup is right now. I just feel we do need a max line for DC.
Yeah.
Because you do have superheroes like
Right.
Constantine and Batman, and they go on the border, but we need to have adult.
Yeah.
And someone had mentioned in our Twitch chat, because this is aired live every Thursday on the mornings, 12 p.m. Eastern. Just throwing that out there, just as a little plug. But someone had mentioned the Vertigo line's kind of that. But the problem I have with the Vertigo line is they don't feature Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They don't feature the Trinity.
Yeah, that's the magic side.
Right. And the only character that's ever crossed over has been Constantine.
Yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vertigo is the magic, angels, demons. That's where you learn about
Okay.
like God.
Oh, no.
angels,
Vertigo
that kind of
is
stuff.
like their adult indie comics.
No. Vertigo. Well, no.
They had like Twilight something, and I forget the name of it, but like a few of them I liked.
I mean, that's their imprint where like they
Clean
deal
Room.
with that whole. I mean, it was before the New 52, but like post New 52, that's where you deal with all the magics and all the angels and demons and all that kind of stuff.
Well, they had a whole bunch of otgoing ones, but only Lucifer succeeded.
Lucifer was actually an amazing
Yeah.
line of stories.
Okay, so now was the second part of this podcast. We're going to get to Theorycraft again, and I'm going to give you guys a minute to think about it. But
Okay.
I'm the DC executive, and I come, Rob, Benny, Gary, Benny, Gary Girl, Rob Cole, Comicstorian. We want you to give us one pitch. Take your favorite DC superhero and give me your adult-themed. We're making Max, and we want you.
I already know what mine is.
Well, then go. I was going to give you time to think. But
Mine is Shazam.
What are you going to do in this? You can't just...
It would be a coming of age story.
Okay.
And it would be like really Billy Batson would play like I'm sorry, not Billy Batson. Shazam would be kind of like he would be the backdrop. He'd be there, and you would see like where he's being a superhero.
Yeah.
But the emphasis of the story would be on Billy Batson. Like he's a young kid, and he's going through young kid experiences. Young kids are being people saying like, "Hey, here's drugs." Here's
So
alcohol.
you're saying like puberty?
Going through all those
Right.
things where
Everything.
he's at that age where like people will tempt him with all different kinds of things. Maybe he doesn't live in the best part of town, and so like you're literally like you're dealing with it, and all those themes get rolled in. It's constant bombardment of like the 21st century right now, and that's what it would deal with. Like, how does Billy Batson come of age? How does he deal with all the things that teenagers struggle with? Anxiety, or like being rejected, being bullied. Just because Billy Batson can stop somebody from being bullied, should he? He could just shout the word Shazam, and that bully's been whisked off to Pluto.
Yeah.
And he's going to spend the rest of existence frozen on Pluto.
I
And
thought
that's
you were
it.
like living on Pluto, and I was like, Rob, people don't live on
Yeah,
Pluto.
no. Yeah, he's going
Living is not something you do there.
Living is not something you do. On a little moon-like planetoid
Yes.
at the outer edge of the solar system, there
Reminds
is
me of
life.
Twilight Zone episode about a guy that they put on an asteroid, and he was like in isolation in for prison, and his punishment was to live on this asteroid by himself, complete isolation, and that's how. And they used asteroids as prisons.
Huh. That sounds like an amazing episode.
Yeah, it was really good.
I need to watch that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's what it would be. It would be a lot of these morally questionable things.
Right.
Like maybe he does experiment with alcohol. Like maybe he does experiment with drugs.
Hey, you want to see something cool?
No, I just
I'm just saying. I mean, these are the kind of things
Yeah.
that you could do.
Another
Yeah,
comment
yeah.
from our Twitch chat at the moment. DC Mopey, EM does not support the killing of people by Pluto teleportation.
Just to be clear.
We do not condone flying people to Pluto and leaving them there.
The more you know. Right?
The more you know.
The more you know.
Dun, dun, dun.
It is
Yeah.
not nice to put people on Pluto without a spacesuit.
They will die.
So
They will die.
Can I go next, or do you want to?
Yeah,
go?
yeah, have at it.
If you're lined up, go for it.
I'm not lined up. Go ahead.
Okay, mine would be a Superman story,
Okay.
but with the Red Hood. So my idea would be, if we're going no holds bar, I can show whatever I want. Superman finally deals with a villain that he cannot stop. You see dead bodies. He takes out a whole building and we see the rubble. The whole Boy Scout, I will save the day, there's always another way attitude is not feasible.
Why?
Because the villain, I haven't decided what the villain would be, how he'd be able to do it, but he is stronger than Superman. Not in strength, but maybe speed or intelligence. He has a way to not let Superman stop him. So Superman just cannot stop
Or he
this
just
guy.
wears a kryptonite suit.
Or, yeah.
Or just keeps kryptonite in his person.
He's in a full lead suit made out of kryptonite.
Yeah.
There you
He
go.
got it from Batman's Batcave.
And the Red Hood would be involved, but not current Red Hood trying to be a good guy. Classic Red Hood willing to do that extra step.
Yeah, like under the Red Hood.
Right.
Red Hood. Yeah.
So Red Hood is the guy that has to show Superman how it needs to be done when you don't have the other option.
That would be Beast. Like bring Superman to the darker side.
Yes, show
Yeah.
him the darker side, and then we actually go over. Like, the only answer is the dark side, finally.
You could have the inner turmoil of Superman where like on one half he doesn't want to, but on the other half like he knows he has to.
Right.
And it's like the biggest concern of Superman is like, will he cross the line he can't come back from?
And in a lot of sense, we've had that similar story idea,
Yeah.
but you don't see what Superman's seeing, so you don't feel the weight of what he's seeing.
Yeah.
And I feel like showing
Right.
everyone that's been lost, showing like a building in rubble with bodies,
Yeah.
things like that, would show the weight of Superman. Why aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
Because before it's like, oh yeah, the Joker killed 1 million people, but we don't see any of them.
Yeah.
Always do the right thing and don't stop the Joker. Well, it's a lot easier to say that when you don't see the ramifications of letting this
Right.
madman go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we're able to show that, we're not restricted by a story. You know? And it would be some of my favorite superheroes brought together. But
See, I would think.
And you
I
can-
mean, that's a cool idea. I would think Deathstroke would be more plausible than Red Hood.
the only problem, the reason I thought of Red Hood instead of Deathstroke is pretty much a bad guy. You know what I mean? While Red Hood has always been that
Yeah.
on
Towing the line a little
yeah,
bit.
towing the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see
Because
that.
I thought Deathstroke, they fought before.
Yeah.
Deathstroke does try to prove to him, well, you need to make a kill. You know, a recent storyline was, if you don't kill me now, I'm gonna kill Lois, and he found a way to stop it. Like,
Oh, yeah, that's all
and
that-
that's the
yeah,
only
I
problem
read
I have with making my story. I can't think of what would stop. How would the villain be able to do all this, and Superman couldn't stop him at all?
Yeah, I mean, I would say he'd just carry a bit of green kryptonite in his body, or any number of things.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and you could literally build it up because not everyone knows that green kryptonite is Superman's weakness.
Right.
And so it could just be one of those things that he learned. I mean, we saw that in the People versus Justice League. There's a guy called the Fan, and basically he was obsessed with the Justice League to the point where he gained a job as a contractor helping to build the Justice League Watchtower and learn the systems inside and out. And so when the Justice League finally confronted him, he activated their teleportation system and sent them all around the world. Just scattered them to the wind, and then just took off. So I mean, it's not implausible. It's not impossible.
But see,
No, it's not.
and I have a scene in my head, and this is pretty much the only scene that I fleshed out of this whole idea, okay? But, like, Superman kind of acknowledging that he needs to do something more, but he won't kill.
Yeah.
And so he goes to Batman, and, like, you're going against crazy odds. You don't have powers. Like, you can't just solve it with super strength. How do you stop this? And Batman not having an answer. And Batman being like, but we can't kill. You can't cross that line, Clark.
Yeah, I won't teach you how to kill.
Right.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe Batman leaving, like, I'll see what I can do. I'll get back to you. Just don't do anything for 6 hours. And, like, Red Hood stepping out of the shadows. I have the answer.
Dude, that'd be so cool. Dude, so Benny and I go back and forth on this kind of stuff all the time. And I told him I had an idea for a Batman story where, like, for whatever reason, Batman snaps, goes crazy. Like it's like it is in DC Rebirth where, like, he's going to marry Selena Kyle, but, like, the Joker kills her or something. But, like, Batman snaps. And it's a blend of Batman with Nightwing, the New Order, where, like, he just deactivates everybody's powers.
Yeah.
But, like, while this is going on, like, Batman's systematically taking out various superheroes that he thinks are a legitimate challenge, whatever. And, like all these different heroes are defeated. Like, he defeats Shazam, or, like, Shazam just leaves. Just call it, like, he just vanishes. You don't see him anymore. And, like, Superman's defeated, and all these people are defeated. And then finally, like Alfred's had enough. And Alfred's like, look, like, this has to stop. You know, and Batman's like, it can't stop, not until I'm done. And then, like, Alfred shouts Shazam and, like, turns into Shazam. And, like, Batman has to fight Alfred. And, like, it's going to be like this holy fuck. And it's like, you never suspected Alfred was Shazam the whole time.
Book
yeah.
deals?
I think, okay, what do you guys think out there? Because I think it'd be awesome if it turned out that, like, Alfred was Shazam the whole time, but Batman never knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, like, I think it'd be beast. Like, I think it'd be cool. But yeah.
So that's my idea. Like, but by not having the rules, not having anything in the way, you know?
Yeah.
What do you got? You got anything?
I don't know, man. That's tough. Like, my mind doesn't go to, like, dark and gritty. I just, like, that's just not where my brain goes.
Well, where's your brain go then?
In yours, they would end up in Tubby Wubby Land.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but you
What's
can
that
write
kid show
something.
your daughter watches?
Bubble Guppies.
Bubble Guppies. Whatever Bubble Guppies are, teams up with Superman and they save the day.
What's Bubble Guppies?
It's amazing. Like, I'm not even kidding.
It's amazing.
Like,
here's this children's show. What is Bubble Guppies?
For a
Amazing.
children's show, this cartoon is fantastic.
Bubble Guppies. I gotta look this
It's
up.
guest starred Wanda Sykes, Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, well, you
George
fucking won me with
Takei.
Wanda Sykes.
Yeah.
Man. George Takei?
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
well, you won me over with Wanda Sykes. So I don't.
Anyway, it's one of those It's like probably one of the only children's cartoons that I can watch with her and not be totally annoyed.
Bubble Wobble. Is that what it was?
Bubble Wobbles, Bubble Guppies. But
Bubble
anyway,
Guppies, yeah.
A lot of
Wobbles.
satire. It's made for
Bubble
like
Guppies.
parents to enjoy with their kids. Like, it's really good for a kids show.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Bubble Guppies.
it's cute.
I need to text myself.
No,
that.
it's Bubble Wubbies.
Bubble Wubbies.
Bubble Wobbles.
That's gonna be our ripoff version for like local cable access or something. It's when you can't afford Bubble Guppies, you watch Bubble Wubbies.
So what do you got? Because we're all getting hungry, man.
I know, we're getting hungry.
We don't want Angry Rob. Angry Rob demands the table nearest to him now.
Hangry Rob. Give me that table right now, damn it. Somebody's gonna get their ass whooped in here, and it ain't gonna be me. So I'm just saying.
That was exactly how Rob spoke to that lady in Blue Sea.
I did not talk to her that way. I was nice-ish.
No, yeah.
Oh,
What about the table right
this
there?
is tough.
It is.
I like how you look like there really was a table I was pointing
I
at.
don't know.
Okay. What character intrigues you the most?
Yeah, let's help you out with this.
Honestly, I was thinking Cyborg. I know, like, nobody likes Cyborg.
No,
Going
Cyborg's
somewhere-
great. The problem is DC
like-
doesn't know what to do with Cyborg.
Right. I think if there's any character that you can go with a quote-unquote darker storyline, and I would like to rescue that term too. Like, darker doesn't need to be graphic. Like, darker can just be
A film filter.
just a film filter. Just much more contemplative. You know, much more serious. You're grappling with issues that you just can't in a lighter tone. You know. Storyline. It doesn't have to be like visually like, oh, everything's so awful and graphic. But his struggle with being Cyborg, which I'm sure they've already like touched on. Has he ever had a love interest? Has he ever had?
Right now,
Didn't they have one in the Detroit storyline that just happened?
I didn't read a solo series.
I
know
read
that-
the first parts of it, and I remember he was interested in a girl. I just don't know if it went anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, what if his struggle is he genuinely believes that he is what human beings should be?
Oh, he
And
doesn't.
so-
though. He wants to be. He separates the man from the machine. That's his thing.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He does. He's
Okay,
worried about
Rob.
crossing too much to becoming a machine.
Okay. What if he does?
Becomes the machine.
Yeah. And then he almost goes Borg with it and genuinely starts to believe that human beings would be better off exactly as he is. And so it's this constant internal battle of
That is
wanting to upgrade human beings.
That's the Dark Knight's metal guy. That's the
Is it?
the
Yeah.
Cyborg Batman.
There's a
That's-
Cyborg Batman that does that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your story is
I
a
don't
Dark
even
Knight Shadows
know.
plot.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
That's
It's-
fine.
it's
That's
Movie
fine.
Machine.
Dan, come over here. Dan, producer.
I mean, Wonder Woman would
I
make,
want
would make
Dan's
a great
pitch.
darker story.
On
None
the
of this.
spot.
I mean, just Wonder Woman. Just Wonder Woman snaps one day, like Wonder Woman versus the DC universe would make a great Black Label story, like a dark theme
All
story.
right, Dan.
Yeah.
So
Pitch to the DC executive your Black Label storyline of adult theme or content.
I would love one of the Flash, where somehow his super speed, when he's like trying to save people, he runs into the problem of he can't save them at a certain speed because they simply can't handle that speed. And so he starts running into this problem where there's a villain who somehow forces him to choose between people he has to save, because if he tries to save all of them, their bodies simply disintegrate.
Wow.
Like, I understand that, like, the Speed Force technically prevents
Protects
them
them,
from
yeah.
doing that. But I think it would be a
There's
cool
been
story
stories where
if,
the
like,
auras
someone,
removed.
like, stripped him of that Speed Force power, and a building's collapsing, and Iris is in there, and some other big figure that's very important is in there, and
Batman.
he has to... Yeah, Batman, and, like,
Well,
something
but
like
see-
that, where he has to choose... Because he no longer has the ability to save people at certain speeds,
Oh.
or they
So he can't
start
save all of
either-
them.
Okay, I was gonna say
Exactly.
because
So you can
Wally did that.
save-
Wally saved a town full of people in the time it took for like a nuclear bomb to detonate and the blast of light.
Right,
like
but
like
he's
it was
saying
it was
the aura
in
has been
fractions of a
stripped.
second.
Wally
Yeah,
dealt
yeah.
with the aura
Yeah.
being stripped before.
Yeah.
But if the aura is stripped, yeah, you can only
That
see
would
one.
actually he's running at like Jay Garrick's speed.
Yes.
Like the speed of sound.
Exactly.
So
So,
it's-
he,
yeah, wow.
he can only save certain people, and it just starts tearing away at him because, let's be like, we'll
Right, so
say it's
you're-
Barry Allen. He is the kind of guy that he has to save everyone.
Dude, you could
And
make
it
a
just
make a
starts
one shot story on that.
destroying
So you're talking about a story that is less about the actual act of the saving,
Yes.
but what it does to the man.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The oppression
that
that
sounds
brings
like a
on.
damn good story.
Yeah.
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 That actually reminds me of the ethical thing of you have like 4 people on one track and you have one person on another track.
The trolley
And-
train.
Yeah, the trolley train ethical quandary,
Yeah.
where it's like it's going to hit the 4 people, and you can change it to go to the one person. What do you do?
It's like kind of the needs of the many versus the needs of the few.
There was
kind of
actually a
thing.
really cool argument that I heard. Like Michael Sandel presented that in a Harvard lecture, and he said, "So like, suppose this scenario is still true, and like there's a really fat guy on a bridge, and you could push him off, and like save those 5 people. Would you sacrifice that innocent guy? And what makes him more innocent than any of the 2 groups who are on the trolley
Yeah.
track?
Yeah.
And it's really really cool. It's a really awesome.
I like your story idea though.
I do like
the
that.
Flash
That'd be
having to
pretty
deal
cool.
with like depression, and I just have images of him like drinking and slipping into alcoholism.
Yes.
because-
Yeah, like because
But then-
my
but his
but he
body
can't.
can't get drunk, so
Yeah.
he's constantly like he can't even mask the pain in any way or dull it with, like I say, it with drugs, with alcohol, he can't do any of that because it simply doesn't work on him,
And
he just has to live with knowing he can't always save everyone.
You can have the
Yeah.
first 4 issues him dealing with the fact that like worrying about when this is going to happen, and then the last issue is the moment.
But see, he did that in the People versus Justice League. He got a guy killed when he sparked up that static electricity in a spacesuit.
Oh yeah.
Like jumped into space and like sparked static electricity and then like shocked the guy and killed him. And then because DC, he's like, hey, so like whenever I start running, the Speed Force gives me an aura and it'll dissipate over a certain amount of time, but I can just run on the shrapnel through space and get back to the spaceship and be okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
And he is.
I kind of like that Christopher Priest at least explained his reasoning behind doing it.
yeah.
Because I was one of those fans reading that going, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
This doesn't. Oh, he
This is-
answered it.
Yeah. This is not how Speed Force powers work, Christopher Priest. It's not how Flash works.
All right, well, that is our podcast today with our theories of the adult stories that we would write. Adult-themed, darker themed, more serious, whatever you would like
Yeah,
to do.
give us your own stories.
Yeah,
Actually,
give
we're
us your
curious.
ideas in like a 2 to 3 sentence pitch in the comments down below. And during our next comment show, we'll pick some of those
Yeah.
and read off your ideas for more grittier, darker themed stuff. Don't forget, today's episode is sponsored by 4Hymns, 4Hymns.com/RobinBenny. It's how I keep my hair looking pristine. It's how Rob's skin looks amazing. And it's how Gary intends to have 9 more children. Can you name them after the 7 dwarves?
No.
And then add 2
I
additional
wanted someone,
I mean,
I
do you
wanted
know?
someone to do the math.
Name them after the dwarves. Okay, what are the names of the 7 dwarves?
I only know a few.
Sleepy,
I don't know.
happy, grumpy, dopey, sneezy, bashful doc.
You know, we're gonna talk after this
Cool.
how you know that. Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, yes,
Yeah.
4Hymns great for just male wellness. It's
Yes.
hair,
Yeah.
skin, sexual wellness. I
Keep pointing at me when you talk about that.
Sexual wellness.
No, it's not even intended.
Am I the epitome of like sexual wellness?
You are an
You are
Adonis in
good-looking
bed.
guy.
As
Thank
your
you.
wife tells us,
Yeah.
you are a god in
Yeah.
bed.
She's
That's what
told
your
you
wife
that.
says.
She's told us that.
Okay.
I've never
mean-
spoken to her directly.
Yeah, she's never told me that.
But you
Some
know,
of those cards.
you know those cards? The cards that she dropped off. It was, hello, Rob and Benny. Thank you
She's
for...
gonna watch this. She's just gonna be so embarrassed.
She wrote-
I'm writing this letter after a
Yeah.
like
an amazing
soul-shaking
evening
experience
with my
Yeah.
with
incredible
Gary.
husband
Yeah.
and his six-pack
a
abs.
spiritual awakening.
Which are under there somewhere.
Wow.
Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to check the comments down below. Go check out our sponsor.
man.
The link is down there as well. You can find Rob at Comics Explained
Yes.
on YouTube or on Twitter. He's at Gammy Cam.
Gamey Cam.
Gary Cam 4 on Twitter.
Yes.
He's at Dan T Editor. You really should update your Twitter handle, the producer.
Yeah, Dan T producer soon.
Yeah.
I think Dan T Editor sounds better.
Yeah, that's
Right?
right.
It's become a thing.
Yeah.
And if you're watching this or you're listening to it, I'm Benny the Comicstorian. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.
Peace.